What's going on, guys? Welcome back. Hope you had a great day. I was browsing the DeFi website once again, as I do, and I ran into another product called Nuo Networks, and it is yet another lending and borrowing platform for DeFi. And I'm actually pretty impressed with the growth that I'm seeing on this platform. First, want to just quickly go over some of the assets that they are offering, and then I was going to go into a quick interview that this site here went over with the CEO, kind of going over what Nuo is about and how they're making a difference in the DeFi space. It's very similar to Compound, Dharma, a little bit like Maker, as they're using smart contracts to do non-custodial lending and borrowing, which really takes the trust away from the institution from holding those assets and then lending them out. Non-custodial lending and borrowing is actually the backbone of DeFi. It's definitely one of the more needed financial services for DeFi. So some of the assets that they're using here, most if not all of these are actually Ethereum tokens, since it is a DeFi platform. So we have the USDC, USD coin, which is used by Coinbase and a lot of other sites. It is becoming the stable coin of choice since all of the drama with Tether lately. We have the DAI stable coin, which is still the only decentralized stablecoin available. You have Ethereum, Chainlink, the BAT token for the Brave browser, and 0x. I believe they also have some other assets here to trade as well. Let me check this out. Yeah, so in addition, let's try to log into MetaMask. So you have Augur, TrueUSD, Maker, Wrap Bitcoin, in addition, CanC as well. So there are some other additional assets for borrowing versus lending. Looking at some of the data on DeFi Pulse, you can see that when they launched, at least the data they have here on DeFi Pulse, back in February 23rd, they had a total of 672 ETH locked into contracts. And as of today, which is just a few months later, on 5/25, which isn't today, but it's close to it, they have 8,800 ETH locked. So they went, they have 7 million in US dollar assets locked. So they are quickly growing, and we are going to see more and more of these platforms rising as DeFi becomes more and more mainstream, and as we see more and more of these lending platforms becoming popular as another method for people to get loans rather than going through the legacy financial system. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into this article, which I thought did a good job of interviewing the CEO and him giving his explanation on why Nuo is a little bit different than some of the other lending platforms, and why I believe it's going to do a pretty good job of succeeding in the future. The team at Nuo Network believes they can change the world of banking through cryptocurrency lending. Co-founder Varun Deshpande is creating an open, decentralized global financial system. Nuo's cryptocurrency margin loans are just the first of many financial products the Indian startup plans to offer through its Ethereum marketplace. To get a better understanding of Nuo Network and its plans, we interviewed Varun Deshpande. I hope I'm saying that right. Nuo is a decentralized debt protocol, Deshpande says. It essentially enables lenders and borrowers to come together and interact with each other using an Ethereum smart contract. That's how we envision a debt platform. First, it is over-collateralized loans and margin trading, but essentially it can be anything and everything related to debt, such as global debt bonds and leverage of prediction markets using smart contracts. And this isn't really anything different than some of the other platforms. Maker, in a way, that's really just using ETH, but Compound is doing something similar. So it is similar in that regard. With the smart contract system in place, Nuo will help eliminate middlemen in lending and finance. The platform will directly facilitate the user interaction, lending, and borrowing. We currently don't charge a fee for the debt marketplace, Deshpande says. Lenders from across the world are depositing money into the smart contracts, while borrowers can borrow money directly from there. You need to put up collateral for a loan, and against that, you can borrow against any asset. Deshpande thinks the most important financial services are currently missing from the blockchain ecosystem. There is a need for providing financial services once you convert fiat money into crypto. One of the core services is lending right now, where all the action is happening in the decentralized landscape. The way banks and other financial institutions are approaching cryptocurrency lending is very different than our project, Deshpande says. The whole concept of Nuo Network is that it is completely non-custodial. We don't have access to users' funds, to the private key that controls their money. If you put money into a bank account, it belongs to the bank. In contrast, the whole concept of non-custodial is that all the money is locked into our contract. Currently, Nuo offers liquidity loans on the Ethereum blockchain. If you put $10,000 in Ethereum, you can get $6,000 in the form of a stablecoin, which is essentially a DAI loan against your Ether, explains Deshpande. You can choose any token or combination. Instead of selling a token, you can put it into a contract and get liquidity without selling. Currently, the finance and liquidity loans on Nuo are used by big traders and institutional investors who are taking long positions in a token. The second product that Nuo has developed is margin trading, where you can trade directly on the platform itself. The future plans are far more ambitious. Nuo will be adding potentially refinancing, liquidity, leverage across prediction markets, financial derivatives, staking, etc. So kind of going back up to the top of this. And this is something that I believe more and more people, even retail investors, will be doing instead of, especially as things continue to be more positive with the tokens as they gain in price. Instead of actually selling tokens for a profit, you would lock up your token into one of these contracts to get liquidity from a token. So say you have, a couple hundred ETH, and instead of selling those tokens to get a profit from them, instead you would lock those tokens into a contract to get the liquidity out of those. So you wouldn't get all of the money from them, but you would get 60% of whatever the couple hundred in ETH is worth. Then you can take that, reinvest it into an asset, and then make more money from that. Obviously, if you lose that money, you have to pay back your loan or else it'll get liquidated. So there are risks involved with that. But it is a little bit different. Plus, there are tax implications when you're trading. So this is definitely another way to be profitable in this space. Our goal is to connect lenders from developed markets to borrowers in developing markets, says Deshpande. The ideal scenario is to have borrowers from developing markets and lenders from developed markets and enable them to borrow at a much lower interest rate, but give lenders from developed nations a much higher interest rate in the process. In US or Japan, the savings interest rate is around 1% to 2%, while in India, if you want to put money into a bank, you get 4% to 5% returns. And this is another thing that's definitely possible when using these smart contracts, because you're pulling all this money into you're pulling it all into one kind of pool of liquidity. And depending on how the contract's written, you can vary the interest rates depending on who is loaning the money and who's borrowing the money. Among the advantages of blockchain lending, Deshpande stresses transparency of all transactions. First, we have open sourced all contracts on GitHub. Anyone can see what we do in terms of lending and borrowing, he says. Second, all the addresses where these contracts and money reside are public. It is the same as a bank making its entire loan book public, which, we'll never see that. When we first started working on a lending platform and a financial services product, we were not thinking about cryptocurrencies and just focused on digital banking, Deshpande says. However, banks would not give his team access to their application programming interfaces or APIs and systems. We went around asking for permission from these banks to give us access and let us to let us serve customers, Jasbande recalls. After months of running around, we still didn't have any access to any APIs or services. It's become a monopoly of the banks to serve customers. But with a blockchain, you don't need permission from anyone. We can code, create products, and serve customers. All of it is open source. And this is another advantage here. I mean, you can see the struggle that he was having trying to start a company, bring solutions to the legacy financial services industry, and getting pushback. One thing that blockchains will also bring is allow the free and open market to kind of decide who's going to succeed, because the best ideas will succeed. And only something like a blockchain-based, decentralized financial system will allow these type of ideas to actually flourish, because if you have a good idea, you can implement it, and you don't have to be at the whim of a large bank to get permission to implement it. Varun Deshpande is an engineer. He graduated from Birla Institute of Technology and Science and has been working in startups ever since. Prior to Nuo, Deshpande and his partners, Ratnesh Ray and Siddharth Verma, launched BeWise, which centered around credit analysis and analytics and helped banks provide loans for people without a credit score. Now anybody with an Android phone can use the BeWise app to create a credit score with alternative data. Then lenders use these data points to ascertain a person's credit worthiness. Before starting Nuo, Deshpande and his partners sold BeWise app to one of the largest lenders in India, Aditya Birla Money. The Nuo Network is the 5th biggest decentralized finance application in the world, Deshpande states. We are apparently the #1 DeFi app in Asia. It's pretty impressive. Nuo is currently lending against the following coins and tokens: the DAI stablecoin, the Kyber Network Crystal, Wrapped Bitcoin, Ethereum, the USD coin, the Basic Attention token, and Maker. And that lines up with what we saw on their site. So this was a pretty good interview and article, I thought, that kind of went into why Nuo Network was created, and it is yet another example of the rise of DeFi. If this chart here doesn't show you that how rapidly they grew from, you can see, they were at 248,000 on February 23rd, and they're already at 7 million, if not over 7 million now. And they've had quite a few of positive growth days here. So it's looking pretty good for Nuo. I definitely thought it was a pretty interesting platform. I definitely think you guys should take a look at it if you're into DeFi. I'll have a link to the DeFi page, DeFi Pulse page, Nuo's main page here, and this article in the description. Please like, subscribe, share the article if you liked it. And that's all I got. Thanks. Have a good one.